Hey guys, how you going? Chris here from Seaflow. Another episode of the Flow Roll. This time we've got BJJ Brown Belt Stephen Booth. He's a brown belt under Richie Martinez, I believe, and living in New Zealand at the moment. So thank you for joining us, Stephen. How you doing, man?
Cheers, Chris. I'm good, mate. How are you going?
Very, very good. Very good. What time is it over there? You say it was around 2:30, 3 o'clock? 3 p.m.?
Yeah, 3:16 now, so we're just a couple hours in front of you.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you fitting us in and making the time, bro. So we'll start off how I start off with everybody. Tell me a little bit about yourself. So what are you doing now? How old are you? Where are you training? Stuff like that.
Yep. So 34.
Yep.
Rolling through the mid-30s. Apparently this is when it gets quite tough. We'll keep going. I'm in Eden, down the island, New Zealand. And we are in our 10th year of now. So staying at the Forge, previously was running Freaks before just chopping and changing a little bit. So Forge is under Taylor and Jonas and Sierra. Connections through ISO there, going back to Adelaide.
Legends.
They're good.
Yeah, awesome. And you've got a super fight coming up in Tahiti. We were literally just talking about it before I started the recording, but tell us more about that.
So 5 of us going over for representing Team NZ. Save the other 4 until they make it public and go live for the day. But I got a gi match and then a no gi match. Which will be, I've got to dust off cobwebs on the gi, figure out how to do it again. And yes, that's in June 20th to 27th. We've got a whole week there. It's been super accommodating. We've got accommodation for us and flights. We're basically just going to go and do some seminars, have a competition day, and have a good time on the island. So,
what promotion? What promotion? What promotion is this?
Through this dojo. I've got the details all nutted out on Facebook there, but I know
we'll leave all your info
the guy. To put a link to it.
Yeah, we'll put a link to it so people can watch you do it. But that sounds awesome, bro. A week in Tahiti, jiu-jitsu, bro.
No complaints.
Nice.
Yeah, we're there.
No complaints at all.
Like, I'm a big fan on the island. I've been to like Planet Kotal and trained in places like that around there. But Rarotonga as well. Like the island boys, they just bring a different physicality to it. So definitely not looking past anyone.
Strong. That'll be an awesome opportunity. When was the last time you competed in the gi? Because I would assume with the 10th planet stuff, you're predominantly no gi now. But when was the last time you chucked the gi on and competed in a gi?
It was last year. Yeah, I did a stealth grappling comp in Christchurch. But it was a big day. We had gi and no-gi vision, and then gi and no-gi absolute. I think the first match was like 8:30 in the morning. The gi, I wasn't happy. I woke up along the way, managed to pull back salute. Gi's horrible. I don't train it. I just chucked it off.
It's one of those things. If you're not training in it, it's tough work, bro. It's tough work, especially when you come up against people who are only training the gi.
It's confusing.
It breaks all the rules.
It's a different game, right? Different setting.
Chaos.
But definitely they allowed toe holds. So we just clipped our way in the gi, and we're okay.
We're good. I like it. So, how'd your jiu-jitsu journey start? And when did it start? So, how long have you been doing martial arts in general, and particularly jiu-jitsu? But I like to ask people kind of what got them into jiu-jitsu, because it's a pretty obscure niche that people find themselves in, and everyone's journey is relatively different. So how did you find yourself?
Mine was a brain injury, so rugby league. I was playing for Otago. Yeah, had a big head knock. First time, I've broken like 15 bones, but I've never had a head knock like that. And so I sort of stopped, considered my options. I was 24 at the time. And since 2014, and I just figured on different trajectory and jumped into the gym path, so they call it. And once I started, it was like kind of a steep learning curve. Taylor was there. He was actually one of the first people I rolled. And I was like, oh man, this guy's like, skinny, borderline teenager. I think he was 19. Should be able to sort this out. I'm like 90 kilos of rugby league.
Yeah.
I just got tried and guillotined and just got stood out. So
Yeah.
okay, cool. I need more of this in my life. And I only did gi for about a year. Then I went full no gi 2015, 2016. We were sort of the early movers in New Zealand that were doing no gi only and heel hooks sort of training what we could through whatever rule set would allow us to use with tools we had.
Yeah.
So that, and then just went from there, man. So traveled around and just dropped the limbs.
What did the scene like? So 10 years. It's 10 years ago now, right? So what was what was the jiu-jitsu scene like in New Zealand in particular? And were you always on the south? Were you always on the South Island? Did the North and the South have a bigger or smaller scene? What did it look like? Was that its infancy in New Zealand, or was it still pretty established at that point?
I'd say sports jiu-jitsu was just as big as it is now. That was already established. But in terms of ACC rule set, sub-only, that's in its infancy. So I think my first sub-only would have been 2015. Rolled up the garage doors and there was no time limit. Like, we were rolling for an hour and a half. It was glorious. Like, it was pretty crazy stuff. It was raw. It was how it should be. And it was a development where people were like, hey, the trajectory of what's going this way, a roll with heel hook, twisters, or whatever, different rule sets. But we didn't have access to it. A lot of people would do grad industries. They'd fork out a big amount of cash and go over to Aussie and jump in those comps. But 10 years ago it was some pickings. It
would have been rough, right?
It was, So North Island had more. It had a lot more opportunities, a lot more options, and the South Island slowly climbed its way up. It's fun looking at it.
Yeah. What's the general size of the people in gyms in New Zealand like, bro? You see a lot of the big Polynesian boys, the Pacific Islanders. Like, is there a big demographic of those guys getting into it? Like, because if so, I'm out.
Yeah, there will be. They're on their way. A lot of them, again, far away. Like 2017, I got to roll Umaga, like All Black. Roll News, like some boys, some strong men. They're like, these are athletes. They're like bits of wood. There's a couple.
I used to live in Sydney, and I played rugby league in Sydney, and then I moved to Melbourne, and I played rugby league in Melbourne, and then it was just so vastly different because I lived in rural New South Wales, so like no Polynesian boys, no Islanders, no Pacific Islanders, nothing like that. And then you go down to Melbourne, and there's a huge representation of them, and it was like I was playing two different sports, bro. I was playing rugby 100%. League light. And then I started playing with them, and it's like you got these 15-year-olds which are the size of men, and it's like
the beards.
This is messed up. This isn't right. And I was just literally thinking to myself, I'm like, are these guys now learning to grapple like as well? Like, it's just
Well, Melbourne especially, right? Like, I think Bellamy was the first coach that got his league boys wrestling. You know, look at the effect that had on the trajectory of their athletes.
Well, they changed the NRL for 10 years. They changed the rule set now to fix that shit. Like,
So there's some big boys. Fortunately, a lot of them are up north. I always jump and salute. I know the trajectory of the sports show is super fights and one match, big money. That's the way to go. But I think the absolute's the pickle. I think that jumping in there and best on the day wins and everyone's on weight. And that's cool. That's exciting.
Yeah, man.
And they exist.
Yeah, bro. That's the pie. That's like you said, it's the pinnacle, and it's kind of the showcase of jiu-jitsu because there's no other combat sport where essentially there's an open weight or a safe one. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sumo. Or a realistic one. You know, like sumo. Yeah.
Just sumo.
that's it. And other than jiu-jitsu, like you can't do that with Muay Thai. You can't do that with boxing, obviously. The idea that someone smaller can go in there and win an absolute, it's awesome. That's what jiu-jitsu is sold as to so many people. So you mentioned you've been, I agree, bro. So you mentioned you've been heavily tied in with the 10th Planet stuff. When did they become a feature in New Zealand? When did they start popping up in New Zealand? I was in Hobart for when the guys over in Hobart, when Frank Barker came over and made them officially the 10th Planet Gym, That was a while ago, and that was the first one in Tasmania. When did it launch or kick off in New Zealand?
Technically, there's still not a 10th Planet in New Zealand, so
You're right. Okay.
I've been under Boogie through Freaks, and so Boogie Geo and their connections, their crew, a little bit different from still obviously under Eddie and that sort of genre of 10th Planet, but Freaks was sort of Boogie and creation, and then that trickled down to PJ, and the other people that have ultimately gone on to start up 10th Planet gyms themselves. So I just a good relationship with the bro, went over, trained with him in the States, and got to know him. Basically, talked to him about our situation down rural South Island. Like, I couldn't find a nogi to save my life, and once developed a relationship organically. Like training back and forth, he was like, "Yeah, let's go ahead, and I'm happy to grade you and look after you, man." So that's awesome. How that became. I
was literally going to ask how the connection with Boogie come about. He seems like a cool dude, and he's got an awesome style. And like you mentioned, guys like PJ Barch and Geo, super legit, really, really high level jiu-jitsu. Obviously, you'd know that. But I was kind of curious how a guy
Chambers.
Kyle Chambers, obviously, I was curious how a guy from New Zealand. I guess you would know far more than I would as well. There'd be guys on the come up now that are just below the surface and are ready to blow through. When you look at all the ADCC events, you're always seeing like 10th Planet gyms at like the top of like the team ladders. Like, I saw it a couple of times. I was like, that's super interesting, because no one's super vocal about the people within the team, but the team's obviously doing cool stuff.
Boogie doesn't toot his own horn enough, in my opinion. No. He created just fantastic atmosphere, the best working room I've ever been in. And when you see those, and you see like New Wave play second, and there's 10 Freaks above them, you're like, oh, what's happened here, type thing. Whereas, like, when you've trained in that room and you've been exposed to just the high level, like, no easy role, everyone's working for each other, they're putting maximum effort, because there are people who want to be world champions, and it's just like such a contagious and positive place to train. So for me, it wasn't rocket science. I was like, I just want lead like this, replicate what he's and lead from my own sort of way. But it's cool.
That's awesome, bro, because someone has to lead the way at a certain point, and someone that kind of springs to mind for me is Daniel Marinelli, who opened the 10th Planet gym over here in Adelaide. I'm pretty sure he started as a blue belt, had the gym, it's a super daunting task, but someone's got to...
Scary task.
Someone's got to be the tip of the spear, you know what I mean? And it sounds like you helped do that for New Zealand. I'm sure there's countless of people that are now benefiting from the connection that's been made. And
I'm very fortunate to have just good training partners and people that, were putting in as much effort as I was. The hardest part of Dunedin is this university city town. Okay. So very transient, and the time you lose people to Melbourne, get jobs and all, and they go to Brisbane, they move on. And for me, it's like, man, I'm losing my best leg locker, I'm losing my best wrestler, I'm losing training partners and friends. It's like, it's a hard place to do it.
And it's one of those things where if someone doesn't stay and build something, everyone just keeps leaving. So someone's got to be the guy that stays and is like, well, I'm going to be the place where people can come and we can get that good training in.
Yeah, well, we have the Forge, and Taylor and Sarah are Dunedin. They're pretty much born and bred. They have stint in Adelaide, but they will stay here, and they've put money into the facility. They've done it all well. They've got Jonas, who's got all ties through the UK, and awesome connection. Oh, it's great to train, and I cap it all up as well. Right, all the benefit of having such an awesome place to train. So I'm stoked.
And obviously Jonas, Taylor, and Sarah all super legit as well. Like, very good grapplers, and good people, man. Like, it's
100%.
That's probably the main thing with the gyms. I say this all the time, man. When you go places, armbars are armbars generally. There's obviously differences within the setups and the minor details, but the main thing that changes gym to gym are the people within the gym.
People,
You can get good armbars and have shit people there, bro, and you're not going to have a good time. Like,
nah, it's trash. No, not people. Enough gym owners understand that it's the people you spend the time on the mats with and the atmosphere that the whole team creates. That's what we come for. It's like no one
Yeah.
cares who's great or what you're on. It's just like fun, want to get good, have a fantastic time.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy at the gym, and he's a hobbyist, and just kind of just trains when he likes to, and does it for self defense and just to feel good. And he was getting along the lines of like, oh, like I'm not as important as like a competitor or something like that. And I was literally telling him, I was like, you people make the competitors good. Like the competitors don't get good with just other competitors. It's like rolling with every single person that's in your gym is going to make you better. And everyone has their role, and no one's more important or less important because you're doing X, Y, or Z, or because you're not doing it. It's once you find a gym that operates like that, it becomes a lot more comfy and easy to learn as well, bro. Because I would imagine it'd be pretty hard to learn a technical skill in a place that's stressful or you feel doesn't want your best interests at heart. So sounds like
we
you've
did
landed in a good spot, bro.
Yeah, we're happy. We're happy here, and we set up. But just if we go back to the sort of competitor, the route, I do find there's probably more people that want to compete. A lot of gyms. I remember one time I asked, I was like, all right, guys, if you're interested in competing, move to this side of the room. If not, stay over. I'm just going to try to navigate a session for our beginners and our competitors. And we had 3 people that stayed on the non-competitive side. About 40 people went to the competitive. Like, I would have never thought that some of these people had competition aspirations. They're like, oh, so everyone's putting it in for each other, regardless of if they step on the mats and actually execute the competition phase. They're still lining like that. They still see the team step up the ladder.
Yeah.
Super cool.
It's super important, and that's not super valuable. And for those people that might not have thought they could ever compete, an experience like that where they get to kind of be encouraged or told, hey, you would actually do a good job, like you would do well. A lot of people just assume they're going to get hammered, you know what I mean, and like that they're no good, or and it's like it's not always like that, you know what I mean. Just because the people in your gym have your game sorted out doesn't mean that people outside of the gym don't. And so
not common.
Yeah,
people build up their opponent to be this Achilles type.
Oh,
like, hey guys, it's never going to be worse than Jake. Nah.
Guys,
100. This is going to be worse than him.
No, I was talking to one of the competitors, and I was like, the guy's going to be your weight. He's going to be your experience.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, it's not going to be Gordon Ryan. You'll be sweet. Like,
we had an old copper. He was 54. He refused masters. Just jumped at the blue belt 26-year-olds. And he crippled. He was like with fear. Like he just walked out there, and we went through the process of just shaking an imaginary referee's hand, shaking his opponent's hands, and then everyone in the gym kind of clapped. And he did the exact same process. He walked out on competition day, he shook his hand, and he's like, and now I can compete. I'm like, yeah, he went out there and it's just, massive.
It all contributes.
People where it's so natural for people.
Yeah. So, other than the Tahiti stuff going on, what else have you, competition-wise, sports jiu-jitsu? I know you're super active in the strength and conditioning space and the mobility space. I've seen you doing your Jean-Claude Van Damme all over Instagram. super jealous, bro, because I'm your vintage jiu-jitsu guy who everyone's like, oh, you'd be super flexible and mobile, and I'm fucked. Like I can't do any of that. So I'd love to talk to you more about that just after we talk about more of your competition stuff. But is there anything else, any goals you've got coming up? Any big tournaments coming up, or are you just settling back into being back in New Zealand and just not looking too far past this Tahiti tournament?
Yeah, not looking. Well, when is that? It's up on the whiteboard. It's soon. It's like 4 weeks away. So definitely nothing on the cards for that. But when I come back, I'll definitely jump back into the local scene. I travel around a lot, competition.
Yeah.
I really like getting around, like timing it, meeting some good people, doing a seminar, having a competition, and then out with all the other homies, whole crew, because they're all scattered everywhere now. So we can all sort of amalgamate, meet together, do a comp, and then everyone goes their own way for a few months. So that is cool. Definitely be a part of that. I haven't looked at the calendar or anything. I've just been focusing on Tahiti. I was going to do grappling industries in Brisbane I got staffed the week before, so I ended up doing it with the bros from, it was horrible, tropical staff, but one of the bros from 10th Planet Brizzy went on to get double gold, and he was like a good training partner that I spent with there, so nothing lost there. It was just cool to sort of see he was delivering at that level, and I'm training with the guy. It was fine.
Was that Devon?
I wanted to beat an Aussie. No, Devon this guy alive. He was one of the young guys, one of the young guys.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. He's got a similar game to one of my boy next country. He's just longer. Devon, monster. Devon's awesome.
My main training partner. So my main training partner when I was coming up through white and blue was a guy named Jordan Crispin, and Devon ended up having a super fight with Jordan Crispin, and they ended up drawing. And in my mind, like, Jordan was like God. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then this dude from 10th Planet comes down, super casual, comes down. No one had really knew who he was, and he put in a really good performance. So I don't think there was decisions in the matches at that point, but if there were decisions, I dare say Devon probably would have got the nod. But I was like, holy fuck, man! Like, that guy is good. And then I started to see him more on the competition circuit, and I was like, he's a freak. Like, and then he opened his own school up in Brisbane. So if you're training,
out of everyone, out of everyone in the room, he had my number, and I was like, this fucking guy is so good. And it was, I'd be competitive as I could with him to a point. He always just get one up me, and it's just like, God, I need more of this in my life. Like, these people don't exist. So.
Super talented, super talented. Well, let's
unpack the S&C.
The S&C stuff. So, did that stuff happen before jiu-jitsu, or did jiu-jitsu make you want to get into it, or? So how did it kind of come about then?
Okay, so first of all, you try and play 10th Planet style jiu-jitsu with a rugby league body, you're going to move. You just can't move like that. So, long story short, I had a pretty jacked up frame, pretty jacked up rig. Was finding out that by doing jiu-jitsu with these sort of poor foundations, you're accumulating a body that's aging and it's very sore, and everyone knows it. Like, when you get to that like state where you're coming home and you're just like trying to wake up in the morning running like a fucking transformer getting out of bed. And I was like, okay, all the belts are telling me, you wait to 30, you wait to your 35, wait to your 40. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to start thinking this now. And I can't find anything on it. I did yoga from 2018 till 2021. No progress, nothing, not a chance. Like, I was just finding that it was not for me. It was a community of people that just moved well already. And they're like, lean back, feel back, go back, and they just fall in half. I'm just trying to like move into the breathe there. I'm like, there's got to be an entry level stuff. There's got to be a system out here that works for people that do combat sport, because our limbic system's fried. We're out there, like, we can't recognize it's a friend choking us. We don't recognize any of that. Our body knows we're getting choked. So everything ties up, everything ties up. And there were sayings that I heard up from an early wipeout of, jiu-jitsu's in the hips, and it's all in the breath, and it's all about staying calm. And I'm thinking, well, what is it about the hips? Like, how are they to move? Because I can't play rubber guard, I can't kick above my head. I've been able to do, parkour style. Like, I can do like flips and spins and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, I can't touch my toes, but I can back tuck and the way to do it. And I'm like, so I'm compensating in the heat of the moment, which is giving me a massive amount of imbalances. Pain. And it's only get worse because you get older. So I started looking into flexibility as a tool to sort of take tension away. And what I found was that not strong, your body's not going to let you into these positions. I started working with a guy called Lucas Aaron, one of my sponsors, Range of Strength. Everyone should go check him out.
Range of Strength?
Basically a Range of Strength. Yeah, he's on my rash guard, my continuous competition rash guard. See him on the back there in the splits.
I was looking at it in the office, actually. Literally about 10 before we started,
He nailed the game, and got some fantastic methods in teaching. He came from powerlifting, and bicep rupture, and like good at 3 things basically: squat, bench, dead. It's like, well, how the fuck do I move properly? Like, and so he did all the hard work for me. I just stole all the stuff, and it's like, just found like there were some statements that got said from like the people in the jiu-jitsu world. It's like they don't value strength and conditioning flexibility because they don't understand how powerful it can be. Like if we look at Craig Jones, for example, he's a freak athlete. He can walk on his toes. He can bring his leg over his head.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to train. But what if you don't have those foundations? Like you need to earn it, and we start.
That's true, man. I feel outed, right? I feel like attacked right now. I'm like this because if I tried to throw a body kick, bro, my lumbar spine would just scream at me. I wouldn't be able to do it. So Boff Nathan, whatever you like to call him, he's been on my ass about getting some mobility stuff going on, and this is like a sign from God to actually put some time into that, because like I said, man, I've never been able to touch my toes, bro. If I tried to kick someone in the head, I would end up on my own head 100%. So noted, bro. So yeah, tell me more. So obviously you started asking questions about the hips and you got involved with your sponsor now, and it snowballed from there, I'd imagine. How long did it take you to really start to see some cool results?
That's what everyone asks when I start with clients and work with people. That's one of the things that comes up, like, how long does it take? I think what we need to come back to is, if anyone's got a strength background, they'll understand what I'm talking about here, but it's like, if you're caring about how much weight you should be putting on a squat bar, it doesn't matter if you can't squat. You have to learn the foundational pattern before it matters about rep range we're working at or how much load we should try to stack our body through. We have to master the basics and flexibility. What people call mobility is just one avenue of flexibility. So CrossFit made it famous. People wanted to get mobile because they couldn't do the CrossFit movements. So the term mobility, they got popularized. It's just dynamic flexibility. It's a part of flexibility that like 20%. We have to be able to contract in static positions. We still need to be isometrically strong in these positions. And so there's so much to unpack about when we go on this sort of journey. How long it takes is relative to what your body's been through.
Everyone's different.
If you are strong, you will get better, quicker gains in flexibility.
Gotcha.
It's relatively, so it's fine if you're, obviously if we have imbalances, we're going to have to address them and get them down to like less than 5 to 10%. Like again, coming back to Craig Jones, things just busting out pistol squats. That's a movement that's not possible for a lot of people. So maybe you can do it on one side because you've got a hip ache, or you've been skateboarding on one side of your life, but you've never switch. You've got all these imbalances that the body naturally has to address. No one screams that. When you start working with your generic PT, they might check your blood pressure, your heart rate, put you on a cardio machine, or get you doing some movements. They've got no idea what your hip internal rotation is capable of, how strong your glutes are, what your shoulders can do. And there's just so many individualized factors that are going to contribute, but sort of organic number, 1.5 years, 3 years, I'd say, for most people. Yep. And we can be very, very flexible within 1.5 years if you start well. If you just keep trying to be flexible without knowing what you're doing, banging your head against the wall, you're going to make no progress.
That's me. No, that's super interesting. And when you talk about it like that, it makes a lot of sense, bro, because it's like anything else. It's an iceberg. Everyone sees the tip. No one knows how deep it goes and how important the foundations and having good structures are in place. So, it's super interesting. And were you ever interested in S&C or the mobility/flexibility stuff before jiu-jitsu, or did this jiu-jitsu really drive it home for you?
No, I'm qualified. I postgrad strength and conditioning, so I did a bunch of intensive courses. Yeah, did the Olympic lifts. I got all the strength, all the energy systems. Super cool. Still being missed. Was like, I'm training the way that good universities and institutions we should be, but I still can't move like someone who darts, gymnastics, martial arts as a kid. So how do you get that as an adult? and it was in a gymnastics intensive. And this lady put me through more pain I've ever experienced. It's just a hip flexor stretch. The gymnast is just like, now squeeze your glutes and take this breath and relax this and move here. And almost in tears, because so balled up from jiu-jitsu, so tight, like just pro me into this new position. And I never felt that sort of, I never realized that flexibility could be so hard. I just thought it was just both legs, hang out this position and try and get closer.
But yeah, I think that's, as a noob in like flexibility and mobility, I think that's one of the hardest hurdles for people at the start is you don't know what you're doing is actually good or not. Do you know what I mean? Like you're like, it feels like I'm stretching.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? And if you ask a beginner like how long you should stretch for or how deep you should be stretching, every single one of them will give you a different answer. And I'm sure there's a very, very specific way to go about this, just like there is with most things. It's super interesting.
As a general rule, hold the position for 30 seconds. When you are complete noob, just don't move. Don't fucking move. Stop twitching around. Just go into a position. And like people operate on RPE, like, rate of perceived exertion for strength. They don't do it for flexibility, right? So just get into a position and don't 10 out of 10. Your body's just going to come up and not let you go deeper. So just go there. And after a while, you might feel that you move a bit deeper. And then it depends on what muscle you're stretching. But if we look at a sort of basic one, like a hamstring stretch, you want to play around with the muscles that move you into that position because, the concept of tensegrity, our body is held in place by tension. You have to be able to create tension in order to suck your feet back into your pelvis and allow your hams to lengthen. So only after 30 seconds, maybe to a minute, then start playing around with little contractions.
Yeah.
Relax, go deeper. And oxygen fuels that. So now we're getting into the breath realm. It's like people are holding their breath. They're so tight. They're so tense. They're never going to be flexible. So they have to learn how to oxygenate the tissue, tract, and then all of a sudden everything opens up. And it's like, man, why weren't we taught in school? Why wasn't this in PE?
You've just taught me something here. Like I'm fully aware of breathing through lifting and strength and conditioning, but I wouldn't think that breathing makes you more flexible. You know what I mean? And like, and I could see why a lot of people wouldn't think that because where's the correlation in like our noob brain here? That's like, my lungs have nothing to do with how far I can touch my toes, but they do. They obviously have it has a huge bearing in that oxygenated blood like you were talking about. Super interesting.
And also the not just the lungs, but like the physiological and chemical makeup that's going on in blood, but also being able to breathe and expand and compress your spine because for so long people thought we should be bending backwards. If that was the case, have a femur in our back. It wouldn't be the spinal engine that can rotate and twist and lean. So as you breathe, your diaphragm is like a coffee plunger. And all of those tiny little bits of tension actually start to expand and allow you to move into these positions. So a guy that should all check out, Optimal Health Model, Fraser Beck. He's a New Zealand breath coach. And he's got this awesome platform for people that just want to get into breathing.
Wow.
Worth checking out. He's got chest to floor pate, he's got the split, and he's a specimen. I think he had like a 50 kilo kettlebell and he just did a turkey get up with it. This is like so he does jiu-jitsu. He'll be supporting a good.
Yeah, awesome. I'll after this I'll get you to send me links so I can put all this stuff into the bio so people can actually check these people out because I'm sure lots of people are in. I would say most people are in my boat as opposed to your boat. You know what I mean? As particularly people in jiu-jitsu because you go in there and you bang out your warm-ups, but I don't know, it might be something that's more commonplace at the Forge because you're there, but most people don't stretch before or after training, bro. Most people just kind of amble onto the mat, start the warm-ups, then they get off, and then it's pretty much done. And then those years of being like, I play a lot of knee shield, bro. So like, push pull on one side forever.
On one side.
Why's the right side of my back and my glute always fucking hurt? Like,
who would have thought?
Because I'm weak as shit. But so I'm assuming the answer to this is yes. But in what specific areas do you reckon, all of this work helped out your jiu-jitsu, bro? So obviously, guard play, it would be huge. Even fighting takedowns, I dare say, it would be huge. But are there any other places that maybe people wouldn't have considered that it helped you out a lot?
If we start with guard play and down defenses, I've had people shoot a single on me, and I've actually been able to move back into the split. And
That's what I mean.
That single cannot become double now because it can't physically reach that leg.
Can someone electric chair you?
It used to be a thing. Not anymore. I just hang out.
Not anymore, bro.
Extremes. The interesting thing I'd say is recovery. Probably more so than people realize that when you have strong, long muscles, say I get a pull, okay, because I'm not even, I have a very, very good tolerance to actually getting injured now. It doesn't happen often, but hey, we're lifting heavy weights, training 2 hours a day, we're in a combat. Say I get a pull, because muscles are long and a bit stronger at end ranges, that is just a pull. It's not a crippling industry that gets me out. Other fibers are long enough and they're able to compensate, so I'm still able to train, recover faster, I never miss a session, I get back on the mats.
Yeah.
Another thing is, if we look at knee shield, for example, certain avenues, like in getting underneath people, the time limit, how long I could, because I couldn't breathe, was stacked. If you did a stack past you and compressed your, you just can't hang out there for too long. Whereas now I can go for an attempt. I can be upside down, hamstring can be on the floor. I can back through that movement if it's not accessible without flopping, and my legs just can't. My core string isn't there. I couldn't pick myself. Now my knees simply come back in place. And what we're seeing with kids who did this Thai, the Brisbane kids, because they started these full movements so young, that movement pattern was already open to them. So they've developed a game where they're used to just having a long arm and wrapping up fast. They're used to being able to regard, and whereas we have to earn that range of strength, emotion, and then actually be enough to do something with it. And don't have it, you're going to find ways to compensate, usually through the lower back, usually through the thoracic. Gordon Ryan not being able to lift his arms behind his head, it's like, come on, if you that is going to definitely impair your game at some point in time. You may be the best now, but your trajectory is out here. It's not going up as high as it could go.
I didn't know
because you will lose it eventually. Well, it makes sense, right? So back take, seated guard, turtle attacks, everything's rounded. So if he just worked with a gymnastics coach for maybe a back bridge, something to open up his thoracic, he'd get years out of his body. But if you don't do it, your shoulders are full, your spine rounded, and those discs mold that shape. We've all seen the lady who carries groceries. She's hunched over. And it's just we don't have to be like that if we know how to integrate this training. And it doesn't have to be a deep dive. I took a deep, deep dive into flexibility. But we can just integrate it. 15 minutes before jiu-jitsu, let's just get a little bit of work on. This is structure. Now let's go train.
I'm all for it, bro. One day, if I'm privileged enough to have my own school, I'll be getting someone in to bring in a stretching type of regime at the start of the finish, or at least create a program that's pretty much mandatory. If you want to, you can't rock up 15 minutes after and start doing the jiu-jitsu unless you've got a super valid reason. But just for reasons like that, man. And I think back to one of the early matches I had at a tournament. I was in Victoria competing at States, and the strongest guy I've ever competed against, the two activities he used to do were ballet and rock climbing. Right?
Ah, yes.
Brother was the strongest man on the planet. And up until this kind of conversation, I never really realized that it sounds bizarre that he was strong. He just seemed super flexible and mobile, and stuff just seemed really smooth for him moving through space. But now I look back, he was strong as shit as well. It was a package. It wasn't he was just flexible, or it wasn't he just had crazy grip strength, or he was just super strong. It was actually, they all kind of Venn diagramming. He falls dead in the middle. Yeah. And I was like, what sort of freak does ballet and rock climbing at a super high level and then does jiu-jitsu? And I'm glad he doesn't do it anymore. He's quit, so I'm safe. But
he got him. That was what Boogie, breakdancing.
Right.
Geo and Boogie breakdancers, and that's like the bad stepchild to gymnastics. But it's still gymnastics. You're still like, we talk proximal strength, strong in jiu-jitsu. What happens when you have to operate from distal? You want to be strong there, like climbers, play, dance, like we got to train that strength at its end range, so our advanced activations, our muscles know how to contract there. Otherwise, the moment you break someone's grip, they're gonna be weak to even dolphin roll. Then he's gonna tense up. He's not gonna trust them. So much things are up the more that we know.
Yeah, I remember that guy hit me with a butterfly sweep, and it was like he had extra leg at all times. Like he got right up onto his toes because I was basing to stop it. But it's like his leg just kept getting like growing and growing and growing up until the point where I just got tipped over. I was like, "What's happening here? Like, we're the same height. Like, what?"
Yeah, it's not fair. Yeah. It's not fair.
Well, but he earned it, bro. You know what I mean? Like, through skill and hard work, he got his body into that shape, and it's obviously served him really, really well.
But it is accessible. You know, I used to think, fuck these people who did dance and gymnastics because now they just move well. I don't have that. That's how I used to feel. But it is accessible. You just have to know how to do it. No one's structured enough, you know?
Yeah, that's why I think, like, that's the big thing I'll take away from this chat, bro, is that idea there. And hopefully other people can think about that as well and just kind of take it seriously. Because I think with the stretching and with how people are in general nowadays, no one really likes having to wait for reward. Do you know what I mean? And with the stretching, like you'll stretch your hamstrings and you'll do it for a week and nothing really changes and you're like, like this isn't for me or whatever shit like that. Or you just give up on it. Yeah. But then hearing from someone who's done it before, they teach, and it's like, this is going to take, if you're in good shape, a year to a year and a half. It now becomes you can become way more patient with it now because you know there's nothing wrong with you per se or the way you're stretching. This is the journey. The journey's going to take a while, but it's something that if you don't start it now, it's going to take longer. So you either do it now.
Interestingly enough, no one cares when it has to do with strength. Like if you told me that you wanted to squat 100 kilos and your squat was, 100, I would say it's going to take you, hey, a 6-week program, 12-week program, you'd be on. You'd be like, hey, man, the strength curve, this is how long it's going to take. It's going to be a journey. Same with ability. But people do jiu-jitsu for years. So 15 minutes, either side of jiu-jitsu class, you've got your black belt and you're flexible,
It's crazy. And imagine,
you can remember it.
Yeah, the difference is in just how well you can operate on the mat and life, obviously. But just those rewards, like the extra guard retention, all that type of stuff, and just the not getting injured as much, bro. Like, especially in a sport like jiu-jitsu, where people are constantly saying, I'm injured, I'm sore, I'm banged up, I've got shit wrong with me. To have the ability to have your muscles in a state where they just recover better in general, it can't be a bad thing, bro. Like,
one of the best compliments I had was from old partner of mine, Max Grice. And he's like, I remember, we didn't move to Wellington, came back, and he's like, I remember you being so long. And I'm like, yes, I'm getting older, but I'm actually getting longer. I've actually got taller from doing flexibility. It's like,
wow,
we're leaving money on the table. So gotta
100%. 100% leaving money on the table. I don't want to do that anymore.
No, grab it.
Yeah, I'll be grabbing it. Well, man, like, this is actually awesome. I didn't think we'd be talking as much about the S&C and the flexibility, but it's super valuable, man. And like I said, I hope a lot of people, one, get more familiar with you and the work that you do and some of the work that your sponsors do, and two, they try and do this stuff for themselves again, because the amount of people I know, and you would have met them, you traveled all over, trained with heaps of people. The amount of people who quit because their body's too fucked up, and it's like, this is our doing. Like this. It doesn't have to
surgery.
Be this way. Yeah, or surgery. Yeah,
or surgery. Taking off the mats. It's not on. We don't have to take that stuff.
No, and just the idea that if you're an older guy in jiu-jitsu and you want to keep doing jiu-jitsu, you're probably going to need to be able to touch your toes if you want to be able to do that for a while.
Yeah.
And without blowing your hips or your hamstrings out and stuff like that. So, yeah, super valuable chat, bro. And again, I really appreciate you fitting the time in. Is there anyone that you would like
pleasure,
to thank or shout out or anything like that? Obviously, again, you've got your super fights in Tahiti coming up, so I'll leave all the info for that in there. But is there anyone in particular you want to thank or shout out or say hello to?
Cool, man. Thanks to you for yours as well. Thanks to Nathan for sure. Continuous Flow. He's been supporting me since 2017. Honestly, it's super quality gear, and obviously being able to train and represent who I want to represent. A lot of people don't get to represent a sponsor, a real person. I actually love this guy, so I get to do his stuff at the same time. Sponsors: Coco Lounge, your best cacao, strength, get strong, optimal health model, learn how to breathe efficiently and increase your performance. My beautiful fiance, she's probably next door stretching. Apart from that, just all the training partners over the years.
Excellent, man. Well, all the best with the matches in Tahiti. If you can, once that's done, swing us some of the footage and we'll chuck it up on the channels and everyone can check out your flexibility in work and also your jiu-jitsu, bro. And we get to see you again. We might not ever see that again, bro. So we don't want to miss out on that. You're a legend, Stephen. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you, mate.
Take care.